I'm going to be talking to you about the Excel program. When you log into the computers down in the lab, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to log in to the Microsoft Excel program. On the desktop, you look around and try to find the X marks the spot, and that's the Microsoft Excel program. You double left click on it and open it up. And when it comes open, you're going to blow this up. You're going to see, these are called spreadsheets. And if you go to the lower left, it'll see sheet 1, sheet 2, and sheet 3. All these boxes here are called cells, and that's where you enter your data. You can see that you can name your cells by saying, if I click on this cell, you think of the X and Y axes and the coordinate plane and how this would be the X-axis because of the alphabetical letters associated with it in a horizontal line. And then you have the vertical axis, which are numbers. So if I came here, it would be C4. See how that works? Okay. So just to get right into it, when we go down here to these sheets, the first thing you want to learn is you can rename these sheets by putting your mouse over them and double left clicking and highlighting them. Then you're going to type in, hopefully, data, because you're going to enter your data here. Now when you do that, let's go ahead and pop up one of these programs. I don't want to do the bottom. Let's do this one. Okay, so here we have VCRs per 100 homes. And you see how I typed that in B1? And we put the year associated with how many homes had VCRs in 1991. So look at how many homes had VCRs in the 90s. I bet that's far smaller, if any, now. When you go to make a graph, you'll notice I didn't put the word year here, and I'm going to show you why. But do you see how this cell is wider? These cells are wider than this one? Well, the reason why is I made these cells wider. If you go up between the two B and C, those cells, and you drag, you see how I get the pencil plus, the skinny plus sign? And I left click and hold and open that up, I can open up my cells. This is the way it was before, and it didn't fit. So I put the skinny, so I type first, and then I just open that up. See how that works? When I go in here, I go to the Red Cross plus, if you will, except it's white. All right? Once you have your information typed in, and you can see that in 1991 I had 73 homes had VCRs. See how that is? Okay. You can organize it the other way, but it can be confusing. Now watch what happens. I go to A1, I left click and hold, and I drag this box down. And I highlight it. If I go down here, it just creates more space on the graph, if you'll see. See, I'm still holding it down with my left mouse button. So I'm going to go there. I've highlighted it. Now I'm going to go up to the toolbar and I'm going to click Insert. And here under Insert is where I get my graphs. And remember, you have to do a line graph or bar graph. You could do a column or a bar. Now this is change over time, so we wouldn't do bar graphs, we will do a line graph. And you can do 3D, but we'll just start with here. So here we go. This is the legend, and it's kind of redundant here because that's the title of our graph. But for now, we're just going to leave it in there so you can understand. Now, see how the years came out here, nice and neat? And this is how many, and this isn't a misleading graph because it doesn't start at 0 and go to 50 and then go up by 2s. That would be misleading, right? It starts at 68. You can do that. And the Excel program will take care of that for you. But let's go back and watch what would happen if I type the word year into A1. Then I highlighted it. We're going to leave this graph here so that you can see it. We're going to go in here, we're going to go to Insert, and we're going to put another line graph. Look what happened. That's because it's trying to read year like it does VCRs per 100 homes. That this is information, and per 100 homes is information, and the year, those are information, and you're treating them like numbers. Oh, look at that. And it's all because it can't understand the word year. So I'm going to highlight that, and then on my keyboard I'm going to hit delete. Now to get rid of this, I want to get the full box. See how I got the large box here? See that? Well, sometimes if I go over here, that's called the plot area, I get the small one. If I hit delete here, it's not going to delete the whole graph. I don't want this graph. Watch what happens. Nothing. So you always, when you want to do something major to the graph, you want to get out of this area. This is called the plot area. See that right there? The plot area. And that's how you put pictures behind it or grid lines or anything like that. We move over here till we get to the chart area. We right click. Nope, not there. You have to kind of play around with it. Right click and you're going to cut it because we don't need it. We want to get back to this. Now, we're going to, once we have this and we click on this graph, you see what happened? Chart tools popped up. Okay, watch. I'm going to click out here in like L4. See how chart tools goes away? When I click on, that's left click, on the graph, chart tools pops up, and that is going to make my life so much easier. The layout, look at this. It's where I put the chart title. If I want to name the axes titles, primary horizontal, that's the years. I don't need that. It's kind of self-explanatory. The legend. Now, right now, this is the legend, and we talked about it. It's kind of redundant. It's saying the same thing as that, but you will need a legend most of the time. So, see how this makes the graph kind of lopsided? We can move this legend by simply going over here. We can put it at the top. That would be kind of goofy. Sometimes it's necessary. But I'm going to put it on the bottom. And it kind of makes my chart a little bit smaller, my graph. Now, this is where you play. See data labels? Data labels is taking these numbers right here and making them prominent of where they are and what the line, where it crosses the line, stands for. I kind of like that. So it tells you different places to put them. If I put it on the center, see how it pops up? That's not the legend, I want the labels. Above. Okay? You get the hang of it? And then let's say I want grid lines. It already has horizontal grid lines. That's these. These are horizontal grid lines. Let's put in some vertical. Major means the big ones. See that? If I wanted small ones, minor ones, see, I get smaller stuff like that. All right. So now we want to, let's say you have to leave and it's time to go. You want to go up to File. This is very important. And you want to left click on File. You do not want to hit the Save button. If you hit the Save button, then what's going to happen is you're going to save it to the C drive of the computer. You need to save it to your H drive. So you go to Save As and left click. Now, I'm in Home, so this is not going to let me access my H drive. Okay, this is what's going to pop up for you. And see this where it says, let's move this. See where it says S. Cohen's Home, H? I'm going to try it. It's probably not going to click. You're going to click on the one that says your name and Home, H drive. Okay, it's going to let me there, but it won't let me access it. I have to go through the internet to do that. But when I save, see this right here, file name? Yours is usually just going to say Excel project. You have to type in what you want to put. It's going to say XLSX something 1 or something like that. you need to rename this by highlighting it and naming what your project is. If you're doing VCRs so that you can find it later, you need to rename it, and then you'll hit the save button, and then you'll be fine. Then you'll shut down. But let's keep going here. When we want to format the cell, so let's say we come over here and we go right on this cell, we left click, and then we right click, and we come down to where it says Format Cells. This is where you're going to change your font of how it looks on the graph. The number, you always want it to be on general. The number is going to be general, okay? The border, the fill. Okay, so let's see what happens if we do that. Okay, we're showing that's going to help come up on for the cell. It's going to show you the fill for the cell. If I go back here and I click on my graph, then I'm going to go to layout. We did layout. Let's do design. Look at this. These are the different ways that you can make things look kind of cool. So these arrows down here give you more choices. Let's do this one. Look at that. See how you can change how it looks? It's kind of cool, isn't it? Format. This is where if you just put your cursor with the right, move the mouse, it'll start showing you word art to see if you like it. Oh, that's kind of sharp, isn't it? Then you have the shape outline. See how it's blue right now? Let's do yellow. You just have to play with it. That didn't really do much. Shape effects. You'll find that if you play with these, it's coming. But you just turn around and you start playing with all of this. See that? I filled the white. This is designed for the art, for the letters. So that's going to get you started. Remember, you always save. And when you're done, and then the next thing we're going to talk about is once you have your graph, we're going to talk about inserting a picture. But before we do that, let's look at a couple of other ones. That's a line graph. Let's see. Let's do the meat. Now here you see I did chicken consumption and beef consumption in 1940, 1960, 1980. When I first started, I can move this. This is how it came out. Isn't that kind of cool? All right. And then look, here's the chart tool, the layout. I'm going to click on, I'm going to move the legend to the bottom because I like it at the bottom. See, it gives me more room. See the look? Now look over here in the bottom left. Here's the data. This is the data page. Let's click on graph. There's my graph. Okay, that's got right there. I want to move that. So let's see, I can move it right here. Legend. You can move even when you, this is a graph as a separate sheet, which we'll talk about. Well, actually, let's talk about it now. Once you have your graph, you're going to left click. Remember, you got to get the big box. That's a small box. Okay, there's the big box. You're going to go to where it says Move Chart. See that? Move Chart. You're going to left click. Currently, your chart is in the data sheet. See? The data spreadsheet. You do not want it in the data spreadsheet when you send it to me. You want to click it as a new sheet. Now look what happens. This will create, down here, it'll say Chart 1. I don't want it to say Chart 1. I want it to say Graph to Grade. Okay, and I'm going to click OK. And look, Graph to Grade. Now, we're going to talk next time on how to format the plot area. Format plot area. So the next video will be telling you about that. But you should at least right now, we need a chart title here. You should at least be ready to be able to put information into a spreadsheet, highlight it, create a graph, and have either a bar graph or a line graph. All right. I'll pick up next time where we'll go into formatting this area.